What's up, Desktoppers? Take 2 for another episode of Bodybuilding University. This one is live, which is cool. We've got obviously Brett the Butcher Wilkin here in Australia, Gold Coast, Australia. We've got Aaron Pilates, who lives here, 212 Pro. We've got Daniel Fletcher from 5 Star Physiques. They're in New South Wales as well, and myself, obviously, Xavier Wills. Brett, how's it been, man? Obviously, I saw your seminar today. It was really good. We've already said this before, but
we got to go through it.
Yeah, we only went 5 minutes, but man, how's it been? Because I saw the seminar today, the way you structure it and everything's awesome. Like, you've got obviously the bit where you talk about your past, and when you sort of said that to me at first, the way you actually laid it out and did the seminar was actually better than I expected. So it's a credit to you, man, because that was really cool. And the fact that we went into the gym afterwards and you're spotting people, you know, pushing guys and all that, guys and girls, obviously, was really cool. But how's it been?
Awesome, man. So, yeah. I mean, it was take 7 today, and seminar number 7. So we've got it down to pretty much of a science now. But it's been a great trip, honestly. I said this a little bit earlier, but I've been wanting to do this for years. You know, ever since I was back here in 2018 for the Arnold Australia, then going over to Sydney and spending a week there. That's when I met Daniel, and we've been talking about this for years. You know, he's came over to the States a few times. We were like, hey, let's set this up. COVID kind of set us back a little bit because you guys shut down on everything. But you know, last year we talked, so we got to do this. You know, 2023 now is the year. Let's do it in this January right away, and it all aligned really well. And so, like I said, I chose to do this because last time I was here, you know, the bodybuilding and the fitness community in general was just so great here. Like it just seemed like people are nicer here in general. Maybe you guys don't think that, but I'm not used to it, you know. So and they support bodybuilders, especially from America, so much more. So I knew it'd be a success coming out here, and you know, meeting up with these people that can only see you on, you know, YouTube or, you know, through social medias and stuff, and it has been a blast. So we have seminar number 8 tomorrow, and that's gonna be the final one here in, you know, Gold Coast, Queensland, and you know, sadly it's coming to a close. So, but I'm glad I got to, you know, meet Aaron in person, hang out with you in person for the first time. And, you know, I'm just so used to the voice that this just seems normal, right? Yeah. Yeah, like I said, this has been a great, productive trip. Been busy. I mean, we've been, you know, we wake up, have everything packed in coolers, do a seminar, train, drive to our next gym, you know. So it's really like almost like a tour, you know, and something I wanted to experience as a bodybuilder too. And I think more guys should do this, you know, because use their brand, use their knowledge, and, you know, spread that where they can.
We've been talking about it. We hope the Australian Pro comes back, or the Arnold Classic Australia, whatever iteration of that, because there's guys, I think, that obviously, like, you're almost like in the same boat as like the Chris Cormiers, the Dexter Jacksons back in the day that were like, came out to Australia, and I feel like they were like, come out to all these other guys, and they were the ones, you know, them and Tony and all those guys encouraging guys to come out to Australia, because you guys really are in general treated pretty well here, you know, like obviously especially with Tony, like he'll have meals ready for you when you get here, all that sort of stuff. So hopefully this starts a bit of a thing to get more pros out to Australia, whether it's competing or whether it's doing these tours, because it seems like it's a productive thing now, and Australia is open, you know. Like a lot of people don't even know now. They're like, oh, it's closed down over there. It's like, no, we're open now. So
no, it's open. That's why we got to give a little bit of shout out and respect to Daniel here, is because you know, this is his doing. You know, he set up the tour of the gyms, getting everything set up for us where we're staying right now. We're on I'm calling this the bodybuilding penthouse. We're on the 55th floor up here, looking over everything. So, you know, he wants to see this because, you know, he grew up in that era too. You know, he saw, you know, when the guys used to come out here, he enjoyed it. He went to those events, and now he's doing it, you know, based out of Sydney. So I know he's going to, you know, I think he's on Branch Warren out here later. You know, maybe Chris Bumstead at the end of the year for Revive and stuff. But, which would, that'd be a huge year for him too. But, you know, for sure, I'll be back again next year, probably with Ivana this time, and we're going to continue to do this. So I'm excited, man.
Ivana and the bub?
I don't know if the baby will make the trip. That's a long flight for a 1.
I was going to say,
I know it's a long trip for a 1-year-old because I sat next to a 1-year-old on the way here, and I didn't get any sleep because that thing was going off. So, dude, I want to do that to my baby.
Get used to that.
Yeah. Aaron, if you taken, obviously, man, you've got twins now, you know, which is.
Oh, they're twins? I didn't realize that.
Well, no, he's got another child as well, so he's got 3. You're contending with. How's life been, bro? Like, how's it been with 3 children being a pro?
Yeah, it's hectic. Yeah, the twins are another level, man. Especially they're 2 next month, so the terrible twos practically happening. So
Good times.
some afternoons, man, I just sit there, bro. I feel like I'm like, are other bodybuilders going through this shit? Like, it's just screaming, like tantrums. The girls are on the floor, like rolling around, crying.
And then you see Sergio. You see Sergio's story of him getting pampered. Just eating.
Sergio loves them in small dosages. Like when we go to Dubai, he's like, "Oh, they're so cute." I'm like, "Dude," because he pushes the pram around and like he loves them, playing with them. And I'm like, if you see them when they're like next level, like some afternoons, man, I'm just like having the biggest headache, bro. Like it's just, but you know, you wouldn't. Obviously, kids are everything. Like you wouldn't change it, but like the only thing I'm worried about is I said to Jade, "How am I going to handle the prep, bro?" Because I remember the.
Did you call it, bro?
No, I'm talking to you.
Okay.
But like the prep Olympia with Levi was a bit of a battle. The first prep with the child, three children is a whole other level, man. Like, I wonder like how I'm going to come home 4 weeks out when I'm dead, and there's just screaming tantrums. Like it'd be hard. I was considering. I said, should we get a nanny?
Oh, dude.
Just to help out, like so I could just switch off at times, but.
We talked about it a while ago. I remember you was talking about like a nanny, like either a live-in nanny or whatever. Like
you get an au pair. They live with you.
Yeah.
You pay for their food and accommodation and everything, and then they're pretty cheap.
Yeah, I remember you telling me. I was like, that actually sounds like a sound investment.
Jay doesn't want to do it at the moment.
A live-in nanny's a whole different thing though, because it takes away.
Yeah, 24/7. Yeah, that's what she said. Like, we'll take away the dynamic of the family a little bit. So, because I'm trying to convince her to get one. My sister just got one.
Oh, really? Yeah. And obviously, your sister as well was one of the first big. I suppose like she was the biggest pretty much in Australia, like first like female that blew up on Instagram and stuff as well, which is crazy. Like she was an influencer before influencers were a thing. Like people didn't have strategies.
Early on, you can't blow up like that now. That was when Instagram algorithm was easier to blow up. Yeah.
That was real early days. Did she have a strategy at all, or did she just?
No, it was accidental, man. Yeah,
really?
It just happened.
Unbelievable.
I think Tiger, you know the rapper Tiger?
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was something like I think it was him, shared one of her posts once, and I was like, her account just went from like nothing to like 100k, and I'm like, what's going on? And then 200k, and then now she's got like 1.2 million or something. But
yeah. She's pretty much stagnated about it. Since she's had kids, it's just stayed about the same. That's the thing, eh? But yeah, anyway, Daniel, how you been, man? Because obviously we hadn't seen each other in literally years and years. Back in the day, I remember it was a Sydney IFB show, and you came pick me up from the airport and everything. I think that was that time. I think, or somewhere around that.
Last time I seen you was at a show actually, and you were competing. I think I seen you down in Melbourne too.
Might have been the Arnold's or something like that. Yeah,
FedEx.
I think I've seen you compete as well since then, but I haven't actually haven't been able to go up to you and say like, "Hey, mate, what's going on?" So what's been happening in your life, man? Obviously, you got the gym there.
Yeah,
in Sydney.
got the gym. We opened up the gym, Sylvia and myself. We opened up 5-Star Physique, the boutique gym. So that's going really, really well. So working hard on that, doing like 60 sessions a week. So that's pretty busy. And then I've been working with Brett to get this up and running.
Yep.
So, and we've been pretty flat out on this tour. So it's been good. It's been good, man. It's been good spending time with the big fella and actually getting to train with him in good chunks.
Yeah,
so it's really good.
It's so cool to see you actually doing this as well, and it's credit to you that you're actually bringing pros out and bringing them to the masses, because it helps bodybuilding, you know? It's like, it's one of those things where we take it for granted almost, like it's just, oh, cool, you know, these few people get to see him, but it's like, a lot of people are seeing Brett sort of being like, oh, like they're drawn to him as a fan, and now they're going to be invested, you know what I mean, in bodybuilding. So it's cool to see, and I absolutely love it, man. So credit to you.
Look, I think it's something that the Australian bodybuilding community needs, you know. I think it's sort of dropped off since, you know, especially since COVID, it's really gone downhill, and it's something that we need. Like, we only had the Arnold Classic here, and that's the only time that we could really get to rub shoulders with, you know, who we look up to. And, you know, even back in the day, you were excited to see the pros, you know, and I got to meet a lot of good pros, and I got to meet Brett, and it just made it happen, and I want to keep doing it for the bodybuilding community, because I think it's just going to better us as athletes as well, learning the knowledge coming from America.
And I feel like every person that walked away from today, Brett and Daniel, that would have been completely satisfied, happy, and gone home and talked about that to everyone they know. You know what I mean? So it's like each one person that was there, and tomorrow, and all the other ones, is going to spread it out to all their friends. You know what I mean? And get shared out. So it's cool to have that here as well, because bodybuilding in America, like it's getting big here with bikini and all the other divisions, but in America it's like sort of on another level. You know what I mean? So it's more common, but it's cool to grow it here. But anyway, we've got obviously a lot that's been going down in bodybuilding. We've got the Arnold Classic coming up. I haven't got your predictions. I haven't got any of you got your guys' predictions for this show. You've got yours?
You've got mine. You've asked me mine on Jose's interview.
Oh yeah, you were on that one, of course. Yeah, for sure.
And who was it?
Who did I pick?
Yeah.
Oh, it was hard. It was between Nick and Shaun, but I went with Shaun. Probably biased. Cause
Is that
everyone on that episode went with
But
Shaun.
to be honest, like,
Did they?
yeah.
Oh no, did
Between Nick
they?
and Shaun, look, it's
Did
one of
they?
them. I can't really split them, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's one of them too. They're both Jansen guys too, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
1, 2.
Oh well, I'm looking forward to it anyway. I truly can't. I just picked Shaun because I knew, obviously, as a 212 bias, but I can't split them two.
Yeah.
Because there's apples and oranges, you know. They're both going to be shredded. They're never off in condition, which is a credit to Matt, you know. And then it's sort of like apples and oranges, I guess. Who do you like? Nick's going to be a little bit bigger, but Shaun's really complete. Shaun's posing's flawless. Like,
I just think there's going to be.
Think? Can you say?
Yeah, Brett, you go.
I mean, I can say. I mean, you said it right. I mean, like, Shaun's just got a little bit more experience, right?
Yeah.
And Shaun, like, I've been saying this all trip is Shaun's the closest thing we've seen to Ronnie Coleman. You know,
mini Ronnie Coleman.
A mini Ronnie Coleman. You know, what I mean? Meaning like, but what I think is, I just think the overall size is going to be a little bit of a factor here. So, and I think what's going to compare the most is I think Nick's going to be able to compare the most to Shaun because he's the shortest, right? Nick is one of the shortest instead of Shaun. And I think that Nick's big enough, he's going to be, 80 pounds heavier than him and close to, he won't be quite as shredded as Shaun because nobody is.
Yeah.
And especially in person,
exactly.
looking at Shaun in person is
That's
different.
another thing. I was just going to say that. People don't understand, man.
Yeah.
Till you say it.
Well,
I've told other mates.
Yeah.
I've had mates tell me, my mate just the other day, he goes, I'm not that, he literally quoted, he goes, I'm not that impressed by Shaun. And I was like, bro.
It's because Shaun's darker too,
I was
you
like,
don't see that on TV.
You have
right?
to see it in person.
Yeah,
2019 Olympia, where I was in, and I honestly thought he was going to win that Olympia, bro. Like, I was in the show, obviously. I thought he was first.
Really?
It was so freaky in person. I was like looking at him like he was peeled full. Skin was so tight, man. There was striations everywhere. It was like a little flex wheeler mashed with Ronnie Coleman, and I was like, he's the winner of the show. And then Kamal won. But I had Shaun first, to be honest. I was like exactly like Brett just said. I was like, he's something you have to see in person to understand.
Yeah. I remember we were actually talking, because it was the first year when obviously everything was shut down, and you weren't able to obviously compete to try to get to the Olympia, which we were watching it together. You were watching it obviously in up here, and I was watching it in Perth, and we were talking through the whole 212 pre-judging. You're going, I just said, bro, you would have been fucking good, doing well in this show. Oh, I swore. You would have been doing well in this show, and you're just like, bro. I just got the bro messages.
It's obviously hard when you're locked away in a country and you're watching dudes that you've beat before, like, make top 5. So
yeah,
that's always a heartbreaking thing to do. But it's funny that year that, not to change the subject, but when I had Shaun winning, I had Hardy winning the Open too. And
you know what? That was 2019, wasn't it?
That was when Brandon won.
Yeah, right.
I thought Hardy was going to win, man.
Just
looking at, like, when you're backstage, I'm literally looking at him like, when Hardy walked out, I was like, and I wasn't a Hardy fan. I wasn't a Hardy fan that year. I wasn't until that was another perfect example. I said to other people, wait till you see this dude in person, man. When I seen Hardy in real life, I was like, my whole view changed. Yeah. And I thought he was going to win that show.
I've been a Hardy supporter the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I thought he's been at least second a few times. You know what I mean? And so I knew he was going to come out this year and it was going to be close, and he took care of business for sure.
But he was third that year. That I think that
he was. Yeah,
he was behind Bonac.
I thought,
but they made it almost like an Arnold rematch. You know what I mean? Where like I think Hardy was probably better. You know? I think he's been better the last few years by Brandon by a long shot, honestly.
I guess he slowly crept on the positions. He's crept up every year.
Right. I think the thing is as well, like you said, it was like an Arnold rematch, and I think obviously judges are human too. You know what I mean? So when you see, obviously there should be enough comparisons to if Hardy should have won and he placed third, then it should be sort of sorted out. But sometimes I guess you say, okay, they're so close at the Arnold and they're both so good. They might just slightly overlook that Bonac's legs are down. They didn't necessarily know that he had a leg injury 6 weeks out and couldn't train legs properly leading up to it. They go, oh, well, he's sharp and this and that. And okay, well, naturally he should beat Hardy. But I think that Hardy, had Hardy won the Olympia that year, there would have been no complaint from me. Even though I know Brandon, talk to Brandon and want Brandon to win, it's still had Hardy won that year, his conditioning was just next level, I thought, and he was balanced. But
he's another one that's the conditioning's never off, man.
No. This year was the most off I've seen it.
I tend to, when you're always favouring when people are asking for predictions, I always pick the consistent people that come in condition.
That's why you pick Clarida.
That's why
Nick.
But Nick's getting pretty good in condition as well.
Exactly.
Shaun's, I've never seen Shaun off, man. Never.
Yeah.
So they're the ones that I tend to lean
Hardy's
towards
never
because, like, I'm not going to go pick other names right now, but some other bodybuilders, bro, it's like a lottery.
Yeah.
Is it on? Is he off? And it's like the consistent ones always seem to pull it through all the time.
I
Regardless.
still think one of Hardy's craziest look was when he won the Open up in
Vancouver?
Toronto,
That was
Vancouver.
That was crazy, that look, man.
He came
Yeah.
out there. He beat Ian. He beat Nathan. He beat and a couple other big name guys. I think
Who else was there?
Osdal was there.
Osdal, yeah.
Bro, he used to get shredded.
Yeah,
that was
he made those guys look chunky. Like, it was just like, that's when I was like, fuck, he's gonna be a problem, And then he ended up, he could choose either the Open or 2 trophy that year because he was beating
true.
and so he did the Open. And I think that was the first.
You know what I feel?
Would he have won the 212 that year?
You know I put Hardy on the map big time too. Do you remember that show that they did in Kuwait or Egypt, and he stood next to Ramy and Rolly?
No, wasn't that Flex?
Rolly?
Didn't he
Nah,
stand
It
next
wasn't
to
Ramy. It was Rolly and Cedric. I think it was Rolly.
And
Oh, was that?
And Hardy looked the best, bro.
Yeah, he did. He
Yeah.
did,
Placed
but
in third, wasn't it?
Yeah, but he should have won that.
Wasn't it Cedric
Bro,
and
who was it again? It was.
I thought it was.
I thought it was Cedric and Brandon.
Rolly.
Yeah, Cedric and
Was
Rolly.
it?
And Rolly.
Nah,
And Brandon.
Hardy
Brandon was in too.
bro, Hardy
Brandon was fourth.
But Hardy was a legitimate 212 then. He was not open. He was
No,
212.
he was
212.
And he probably wiped that show. And everyone was like, because he was legitimate 212. He was 96 kilos.
Yeah.
Well-
and that put him. Everyone thought a second, dude, this guy's legit, man.
Yeah. I mean, he looked like Giles Tiger Thomas was there from MD, and he said he always goes on about how phenomenal Hardy looked there, and he was saying that he's going to do well in Open and all that sort of stuff. So he obviously predicted it early, but when you see the photos, like when he does that sort of hands together most muscular, the lines through his chest, like in that show and the shows around then, were just like insane. Like we don't see that. Like Nick Walker gets in great condition, and obviously he's got younger muscle, but when he hits most muscular, like hands together like that, he will not have the same lines as what like a Hardy Trooping has through his chest. But from the back, I think that Nick Walker was comparable with Hardy at this year's Olympia, if not beating him, like a back double bicep, for
Nick's
example.
one of the best back double bicep in that.
It's phenomenal, because he has the adductors, he has the glutes, he has the car, like
He's
he has
pretty
everything.
grainy too.
Yeah, for sure. And so who else? We've got in this Arnold Classic. We've been talking obviously about Nick and Shaun, but we've got obviously Andrew Jack, who's working with Chris Aceto now, and obviously Chris Psycho Lewis out there as well. And he's, Chris Aceto said it, Chris Psycho Lewis said it, they're absolutely smashing him. And even Andrew Jack has said it now. He's saying that he's getting absolutely destroyed out there, and he's like, this is what I need, yes sir, all that. So
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to be working with them long enough to make a real difference.
you don't think so?
No, I just think, 6-8 weeks.
Well, how much of a surplus diet is in?
I have no idea. Yeah.
How much?
Well, I don't think he's in a surplus now. I think he's in a deficit.
Well, what he means is I think he just needs more time for muscle maturity too.
Yeah.
You got to think he became pro less than a year ago, right?
Yeah.
Or at Arnold last
And he
year.
hasn't
I guess you have the
been
same
beaten
argument
for
for Ramy too. Like, I guess his was arguably a conditioning, but he was missing a lot of lower back and a few weird things going on. How much can you change in that short period of time? Like people are saying, oh, he's gonna
peak right or
he's
whatever.
gonna be good this time. It's like, dude, how much can you change? And if you do a show straight away, odds are you're probably gonna look like the show that was, unless you spilled or something. But that's not what happened.
Yeah.
No, Remy just had things missing. Like
Yeah,
his
but
lower
I
back
don't
wasn't
think-
there.
yeah.
I think he was flat as well, because we saw William Bonac and we saw Big Ramy, who were both Chad Nichols athletes. They both had the same issue in terms of like they were looking huge leading up to the Olympia. By the time Olympia time came around, they both looked smaller than they normally look. So it's like what actually happened in that time. And I've heard rumours, I don't know if anyone else has heard the same ones, coming out of the Olympia, that they both maybe went too far with the last minute process sort of thing and just came in too flat. So
what about that rumor about Rick Ramy doing a step up?
Yeah, I heard
show?
that.
doing
Yeah,
what?
I heard that.
An hour of the sun step up in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
No,
I reported that. It was on Fuad's podcast, and it was
It was Mike Van Wyk.
Mike Van Wyk, yeah, of
Mike
course.
Van Wyk.
And he said that he saw Ramy the morning of the contest doing an hour on the stepper, dripping with sweat, and then training abs. That's a morning of pre-judging.
Which is an assumption that they've spilled him.
Yeah,
Is
but
the only reason you would do that, which is should be never.
Spilled him the night
It's to,
If you
before.
spilled him
it's
and
to
you're
pull
trying to-
water
you're trying
off,
to pull
yeah.
back.
and when you
Because
look,
if you burn some of the glycogen out, de-spill yourself, I guess. You know what I mean?
De-spill.
Like, that's why else would you
Yeah.
do it? You're not
Yeah.
chasing
Well, you're
condition.
trying to
You're not trying to burn
tighten
body
up.
fat the last 6 hours before the show.
Unless Ramy did it against advice, which I can't imagine he'd want to go and do
Because
an
a
hour
lot
of
of
cardio.
sometimes when you spill someone a little bit, you can train. Just go and send them to the gym and train, or you'll pull it back a
Yeah,
little bit.
because you're obviously burning through
Probably
the
would be
glycogen.
better off training, but
Probably, yeah. Actually, forcing the blood to the muscle rather than just trying to cardio it off, I guess.
Yeah.
But even looking at his physique, it sort of looks like a physique that has just done cardio and abs that morning compared to what he normally looks like. Looking at his,
He didn't look full, that's for sure.
Yeah,
he
like
looked very depleted and
even looking at the medialis, like around the knee, it looks like it's almost like coming away from the knee a little bit. Like it just doesn't look the same when you look at photos. Like I'll actually put it up while this is on and edit it in later, but it just didn't have the same look. Even though you could see he's in condition, it just didn't pop, So I think, let's just say, okay, Ramy comes in and he comes in full at this Olympia, but perhaps the back isn't corrected as much as it needs to be, but maybe he fixes the posing a little bit. Can Ramy actually win this contest if he fixes those issues, but still has the, I don't know what you call it, the quad holes?
Quad craters.
Yeah, the ice cream scoops.
I don't think so. I think Nick and Shaun are going to be way too big for him, way too good for him.
Yeah.
I actually leaning towards Clarida, to be honest,
Really?
because of his shape. Like, Arnold's love shape.
Arnold has no influence though.
Yeah, but
Not
I
on,
don't know.
not on the judging panel.
Yeah, well,
I believe.
I feel like there's an overall, like,
if Arnold had
slight
influence,
influence.
Cedric would be like multiple champ.
But he won one.
Yeah, he won one.
Yeah,
But
he always did better
but
there.
He should have
Yeah.
won. He should have.
Well,
Because I think-
if you guys are saying this way, then Sam should win.
Yeah, exactly right. There you go.
Samson good win. So
Yeah.
we'll discuss him a little
The
bit.
problem is with that, and I love Samson as a person and an athlete, is it's Samson could win, but it depends who you're against. And when he turns around at the back, he's got that weakness. And you've got Nick and Shaun who have crazy backs, so he's going to get exposed in the rear shots because of those two problems.
Will he get exposed
That's
as
my
much as
opinion.
Andrew Jacked?
He has the same problem.
Who will be better from
Shaun,
the back?
that's why I believe Shaun and Nick will be on their own level. Because let's be honest, bro, I still believe backs win shows.
Yeah.
And when they turn to the rear, the most craziest back is Nick and Shaun.
I feel like
High, grainy, full, the whole top to bottom, and that's when there's going to be problems for the other ones. I believe. What do you think, Brett?
No, I agree with that. Like I said, those are the issues for Samson and Andrew. I mean, no, they're not problems. They aren't developed yet, right?
Yeah.
And so they're still working, And so I think there will be a little separation. I think that'll be kind of the 3 through 5 range. Will be the Samson and the Andrew and probably Big Ramy. And I think it'll be a battle between Shaun and Nick at first.
I feel like that's the time in Olympia as well. If you look at the top 5, bro, you got to have a good back. Show me any pro that's got an average back that's in that top 5 or 6. It's the backs that I feel like it's always the back that makes the difference. Bro, look at Derek this year. Like Derek has built one of the craziest backs that I can.
And that's what kept him there because the
in,
front.
Okay.
in the whole IFBB, when he turns around, that back is so 3D, man. And all of a sudden, he's top 2 in the Open Olympia. It's because of his back.
I've got an example though. Hardy Chupin won the Olympia this year, and he's the worst he'd been from the back, I reckon, in a while. But his front, he'd put on so much size overall. But he looked. Don't get me wrong. He's
I
got a
think it was
huge
good
back.
enough from the back though. His back last spurt was still, I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
It was really good.
I think it was just
better than Derek's. I will say that.
Yeah.
I think it was just over.
But it was
He's
the back
erectors.
doubles. Yeah,
He's
he was thicker.
erectors because
He was
the
more
deadlifts.
he was more dense.
Because
in
he
the back.
smashes
Yeah,
like
that's
7
true.
plate deadlifts for like 10 reps. That's what I believe, like he said. And also, I think he's just a little bit fuller.
He was. He was
That's why
definitely
he
bigger.
lost the condition in the back.
Definitely
It was
bigger.
crazy full. That's why he looks so big and everything's popping, but maybe a little bit too full, and that's why he didn't have that grainy condition. Like Shaun's condition in the back would trump that.
Yeah.
But like you said, the back last spread, the erectors were crazy and went through the middle.
Just the thickness, the
Yeah.
density.
Like,
But it was him and Derek in the back shots were just on their own. It was a no-brainer.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
But last time Nick won the Arnolds, right? Was Shaun in the lineup then?
No.
So this
He's
is going to
never
be
done
good.
that.
Shaun's never done an open show.
He has. Chicago.
Yeah, he has.
He won,
done
he won,
Chicago.
yeah, he won it, but he hasn't done a major open
No,
show. that's
no,
what I'm
no.
saying.
No.
Not against these guys.
So that'll be good. It'll be good to see.
It's gonna be great to see. I can't wait.
It's gonna be good.
I'm gonna be
Oh, man.
VIP tickets. I'll be right there.
It's
Texting you guys.
it's gone from being like so lackluster to so good, bro. As soon as they up the price,
Right when the list came out, we were all like,
I was like, so underwhelming, man.
Yeah, Blessing's out, which I don't think Blessing's going to be a factor anyway in this one. And then Charles Griffin's out, but Charles Griffin, because he brings crazy conditioning, I was actually really disappointed when I saw he was out of the lineup, and I was like, we're down to 6 dudes or 5 dudes
I
or
was
whatever
like,
it was.
this
I was
looks
like,
so bad for bodybuilding. I was panicking, but then
And now it's a
so
great
glad they have
lineup.
the prize money.
yeah.
So that prize money just stay now because they can't backtrack it. Can't they?
They won't go back now.
That's like that every year.
Yeah. So
It's gonna have to be.
yeah, if they go back,
If it's doing
Gotta
that,
get that
stay,
money.
yeah.
yeah, you got to do it, bro.
Or I'll sit out until they raise it.
But it's an amazing move because I've been speaking with Brian Powers a bit because obviously he came on board with Desktop Bodybuilding and used Desktop 10 to save 10% on the pay-per-view. The link is in the description. But it's awesome that they've done things differently, I guess, like in a good way, because I'm talking to Brian, Nick Trigili's talking to Brian, Nick Strength and Power's talking to Brian, Fuad's talking to Brian. We've got a whole bunch
Everybody's working together in a way.
yeah, and the athletes are talking to him as well.
Yeah.
So he's actually hearing these opinions. And I said to him, like, he sent me actually what the stage is going to look like and all that, just little sneak peeks and stuff. And the production is...
That makes a big difference, I reckon, man.
What about the lighting?
stage
They
looks
had
big
they had a
difference.
problem with the lighting. It sort of washed it out last year.
Let's talk about the black backdrop.
But this is what I was about to say. So I said to Brian, I said...
Oh, you brought it up.
Trust me. I said I think I even said in capitals. But I was very like... Trust me, I said, if you put black just behind the back of the athletes, and he said they won't mess it up. So like it's on Brian now. So Brian,
Like the 90s style shit.
yeah, but literally, I'm going to send this part to Brian. In an ideal world, just say you have the normal stage backdrop with. He said no LEDs, so I said thank you.
Because they spread the light too much.
So it's a full back drop, like where there is stuff behind, but you haven't got the craziness straight behind.
It's probably just the structure of like the Arnold statue that you walk out of.
No, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different this year. I'll show you guys afterwards. But it looks like it's more like one color sort of behind, so it doesn't look like it's going to be too distracting. And then he sent me for prejudging in the finals and the strongman stages, and they've really put a lot of money into, I think.
Do you know what I
this
thought was
Arnold
sick at the
Classic.
Olympia? How like Bumstead's one looks so mad, bro. When the door came up and it's smoking, and you get to see the silhouette. He's got the craziest silhouette, man. He had that aesthetic, like he's standing, and it was just a silhouette of his body, and he comes out of the smoke. Like that was
But
so
he was
That
the
was
only
cool.
one that did it, right?
and it stood there with a silhouette.
No, but that came.
Phil Heath had similar photos. I think.
But
it's one where he's.
I mean,
leaning
this
down.
year he was the only one that actually came through that door, right?
Oh, was he?
Yeah, I think everyone else came from the side.
Yeah.
Oh,
You guys didn't notice
So he
that?
got a grand entrance.
Yeah, he's the returning champ. Yeah.
That's why when Ronnie came out with the kick with the
crown on.
bro.
And in the
Bring
room,
back
it
those
says,
days.
it
Bro,
says,
Bumstead should come out with a crown. He's the king of that.
I feel like that's not him though.
Yeah, but just do a Ronnie thing, man.
But Ronnie's,
Yeah, you're right. I don't think he would.
Ronnie's so
he's
just
too humble, bro. He's way too humble. Yeah.
like Ronnie can do it because he's like, yeah, buddy, like just the way he
Who
puts
would
it.
do
on.
Who would? Hardy definitely wouldn't.
I think he would. He'd come out and go.
Yeah, for sure. He would do something different.
Yeah.
He's probably the only one I think that would.
Yeah. Phil probably would
I
not.
feel like Hardy would then go up to Bob and kiss him on each cheek and then walk off. Like, I don't know. I love
There's
Hardy.
only ever going to be one Ronnie. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I don't think there's anyone else that could do
No,
that
no.
and pull it off. Like, Jay could have never done that back in the day.
No.
Who else is in the Arnold Classic line? Let's talk about Samson. We haven't touched on Samson too much. We mentioned him about the back shots and stuff. How do we think Samson will do at this show? Can he actually win the contest? Because he's obviously working with Milos. They did the Olympia, placed 6th, and he wasn't really at his best. Like, he could still be better, even though it was his best of all time so far there. Do you guys think he can get hard enough to win this contest, Brett?
I think it's too short of time to win this one. Maybe look what he did within a year. Last
Incredible.
year he got, like I said, what was he, 4th in the Arnold? And I was getting compared against him and like it's crazy what he's done in a year. He went up to looked good at 330 pounds, came down probably still 290, 280 on stage. But he just needs to, like I said, we all know that we just need to touch a little bit on the backside and just bring up that. And I don't think there's enough time, this 8-week prep or whatever he did, to fully jump ahead of these guys that we have in front of him, So
Yeah.
not quite yet, but obviously he's doing everything right, man. He's right now, the stock is rising. He's doing the right things. He's just keeps on getting better. So it's been impressive to see. I have him in 3rd. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Daniel, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's just time.
Yep.
More time. So pull everything in, make everything a little bit more 3-dimensional, and then you'll be right there.
Yeah, I think I'm not one of a few people, because I think there's a few people saying Samson can win this show. I think he can win it.
We think he can, but it
Just
just
other people have got to come in off
Will he?
as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know what I mean?
If
Like,
you're going to put our money on it, not necessarily that,
And when does Nick ever come off? Like come in off? He never does.
The only way I see it happening is if Nick is like, the only situation I imagine, like, if something goes wrong at the end a little bit, or he's like, oh, dude, my physique was just a bit burnt out, you know what I mean? Like, it was sort of, the only example I have of Nick maybe missing it slightly was at last year's Olympia, where I thought he looked better at the Arnold a few weeks earlier. So maybe this extended period, maybe, but he's working with Matt Jansen, man. You work with Matt Jansen, like he doesn't
Daniel
miss.
works with Matt Jansen.
You work with Matt Jansen.
And it's not as close as that. There's a fair gap. It's like 10, 11 weeks, not 12 weeks or something, isn't it?
Right, he went, yeah, like I said, he had about 3 weeks of just
he wasn't going to do it, was he?
Relax.
No, he wasn't going to do it.
He could have went on a holiday for 3 weeks and still reined it in.
Yeah. Could have got surgery on his varicose veins and still reined it in.
Apparently he did, according to you.
Well, I don't know if we'll touch on that.
The veins?
The veins.
Yeah, what, did he, like, why are people saying there's no way he had surgery on
the deadlift bar, you said it was.
Well, someone was saying that it was, you can get laser on them and it kills them.
Like through the skin?
I don't know, but someone did say.
Who's going to do that? The point in every prep sounds so risky.
But it would have been, he wouldn't have thought he was competing. So maybe he just had one done. And it's like someone's like, why would you get one done? But when you look at those photos,
came out not too long ago though. He was already been prepping.
No, he already said that he didn't get it anyway.
It was
right. Did he say that?
Yeah, he said he just.
I think it was just a picture. The lighting, like you said, he just. And you
I've seen videos a week later though.
Varicose veins might be pumped at more times too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They might show more too. You know.
It's just there's so, like Nick Trigili's on the side of saying like everyone's idiots if they think that he had any sort of surgery or anything done to him, and then you've got people in the comments and other commentators saying you're an idiot if you think it was from a deadlift. So it's like either way. Like
I agree with Trigili. If you're going to get an operation, you wait till after the show.
But he wasn't even planning on doing it. He could have done straight up.
But he had the chance to get this operation for the last 2 years since people have been calling him out about why would he all of a sudden do it during prep?
3 weeks out. Yeah.
I
don't.
It wasn't 3 weeks. It was 10 weeks out of the Arnold. I don't know.
But why are they even worried about him though? Like it's not detracting from his physique.
People are worried about it, the trolls online, because judges aren't judging it anyway.
No way.
Obviously. I feel like aesthetically though,
obviously they're not judging it. He's top 4 on Olympia and reigning out.
It hasn't hurt him yet. So why would he do anything?
His placing's unbelievable.
I still think though, like if you cover his calves and look at the physique, I think just overall he looks more aesthetic.
Yeah, but it's not.
I think that's a big call, man.
It's open bodybuilding.
Yeah, but it still plays into it. Otherwise, Paco Batista would have had pressure.
It's not on the criteria in their
judging criteria. There's nothing about varicose veins.
It's not written on there.
I know that,
or even judging calves.
There's nothing about having shots in your glutes or gyno or scoops in your quads either.
I'm pretty sure there is.
Is there?
Gyno there is, yeah.
There's figure 13B, scoops in the quad.
I'm pretty sure you get marked down for like visible.
No, but definitely those.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But it's.
But Ramy had visible fucking bumps in his ice as well.
Yeah, I mean that's.
Not to be
I'm not as mad about that
because it's Hunter Labrada.
And the glutes, it looks bad. It's a pet peeve.
I think it looks worse in the quads, though.
Oh man, if you rotate it correctly and then the tail end of a prep, don't be shooting up your glutes like that. It's just such a bad. When you got a pine cone coming out of your glute, it's a pet peeve for me because as a coach, that's never happened to me or any of my athletes ever.
It was identical on both sides.
Unless they're doing the same spots in the whole offseason and that's a scar tissue. But I don't think it is because I've never seen that on Ramy in the exact spot before. I have seen it on one side there before, but he had multiple this time. And like Hunter's one.
Yeah. Hunter's was only one
like,
side.
I don't even touch the glutes in the final 3 weeks at all. Zero. Not one single shot.
Yeah.
The thing,
it's too risky.
Just run orals.
All people's going to be is glued. Oh, look at that! Everyone's going to always point out the most negative thing. You want to be flawless, no lumps and bumps anyway. And there's ways to hide it. You got to be a bit more creative.
But Ramy's copped it. Like during his prep this year, copped it for being like his delts when he put out that photo where his delts were looked.
Yeah. So like, Hardy, the only one.
But that's what happens when you're at the top, man.
Yeah,
everyone's Chris Bump said he came out looking fucking light years ahead of everybody else. But everyone only wanted to talk about his bicep.
Bro, I didn't even notice the bicep.
It's a little inflamed, so like he's not gonna win. His biceps torn. It's a little inflamed. Like, are you kidding me? Look at this physique.
It was a Dorian 2.0. Dorian won the Olympia with literally.
No, but his bicep
bad though.
But he still won.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Bro, I didn't even notice Bumsteads, to be honest.
That should have mattered. I noticed Bumsteads because I saw it in the pictures.
It was against NASA too. NASA probably should have won.
Yeah, because I saw there was photos about a week out, but he said it only happened.
It was the same
before.
exact story again, pretty much.
Yeah, so those photos came out. Then he posted up another photo, but then maybe there's just some slight tear that he didn't even notice during his prep. But
like I said, I didn't notice that, and I do notice shot marks and like other stuff, but I didn't notice Bumstead. To me, he was flawless until after everyone started, like you say, picking on him. I'm zooming in. I'm like, I can see it a little bit.
It would look better if it wasn't.
It wasn't like it's contracted. It was a little bit like relaxed.
The shape was still
and then he admitted he's torn. I'm like, dude, I didn't even notice that. Like, they've done a good job hiding that so well.
Yeah, well, he posed it like when he did the one arm up, like that pose. It's like this, you know what I mean? It's like sort of.
Bro, that would have been so stressful too, man.
He's gone like that, you know, like just the way he does it, and just he has so much happening on his physique everywhere.
It was stressed him out.
Yeah,
Mate, you know what?
It would do your head in.
The biggest thing for me, there was all that talk leading up to that classic Physique Olympia that, you know, all these young people coming through are going to catch him. Is this the year they're going to beat him? Honestly, when he walked out that stage, he probably put another 5 years on all those guys.
It was easy.
Mate,
Yeah.
It was the maturity set.
It's the back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Once again, not to say the same thing over again, but it was the back to me.
It was definitely.
He's got the whole look. Let's be honest, he's fucking flawless, top to bottom. But they turn around. The back is so much more dense and wider and V-taper. Every single box it ticks over.
And the balance between upper and lower is just incredible.
Yeah, because let's be honest, the other boys have good legs, probably better.
Yeah.
But his back is like.
I mean, when you look at like. There's, I mean, not to discredit the guys that are coming second, third, fourth, or fifth in the classic physique, because they're all actually phenomenal. Like, had Chris Bumstead not been there, we'd be raving about Ramon and Urs and all those guys. Yeah. Like every time I go to say Urs, I feel like I have to say it really long.
Urs, yeah, it's hard to say it.
Urs. It's Urs, I think. Urs.
Is it?
But anyway, like, when you look at his physique, his stage presentation is so phenomenal. Like, Ors's. I can't say. It doesn't sound right. But the way he poses, man, like, I don't want to go into it just yet about the posing in bodybuilding and should it be judged and all that sort of stuff. But, like, in classic, I feel like there should be a weight on the posing routines at least. You know what I mean? Because the entertainment from both posing routines, Terence Ruffin, Ors, Ramon is about the only one who isn't phenomenal at posing.
Would it change any of the placings?
Brion.
Would it be enough?
I mean,
I think the top 5 or 6 guys are all good.
Ramon and Oris. I think if it was judged, I think Oris could have beaten Ramon. Like, I think the overall what he brought to the stage.
Only swapped second and third, you think?
I don't know who else, but still, yeah, I think it would have pushed him up one spot. Like, if we weight it as 25% of judging, and they're, you know, just say Oris and Ramon are switching a few, you know, points or whatever. Maybe that's the deciding factor that pushes him over the top, and the fans get more entertainment. The routines are going to be better. Why not?
Negative, yeah.
You know, and if a guy by chance looks better on his own than in a comparison lineup, then who cares?
But I feel like it should only be factored in if everything in every column is dead even. So condition, shape, symmetry is all dead even. You cannot split them.
But dead even
one has a better posing. Then that pushes it over.
You and Behrooz, a lot of people reckon that was like,
that was the most
close.
even thing that I've ever seen.
A lot of people was that's so close.
That was a battle, man.
If your posing routine was better, you know, maybe if that was the factor, then, you know, it's a difference in a pro win. And people say, oh, it won't matter. It mattered at the Arnold Classic when Kai beat Cedric. That's an Arnold Classic title. Like, so it has mattered in shows before, and it's obviously we've seen the debate between Bob Ciccarello and Milos. I don't know how we started talking about this when I said we're not going to talk about it yet, but
you just started talking about it.
Yeah, I think I'm passionate about it.
Do you know what I loved about the battle that one that you were talking about is I wrote a troll comment in there going in like the funny, like, yeah, people write retard letters like bring back 90s conditioning as a troll, because the top, both of you in that lineup was the conditioning was like really good.
Two of the most shredded dudes of the whole year.
Two shredded dudes I'd seen in a long time, and I was like, bring back 90s conditioning as a joke, like as a troll, like, because everyone says 90 conditioning blah 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 is better when they were peeled. Like, it was just a good way to, you know, say.
Guys bring good conditioning.
Guys still get shredded, you know, because it was a great battle.
But
the comments were so you couldn't split it, you know.
Yeah. Well, I believe that Brett should have won that. I'm not being biased, but I do. But there again, I think things happen for a reason. I think, you know, him probably making his Olympia debut last year may have been a little bit too early, but now he's got a full 12 months under his belt, and that's all he's got to focus for. So
well, you got the longest off season,
you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably a good thing, you know, that happened for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what I say about some things as well. And sometimes things work out dramatically better, and in the time it seems like it sucks. Like, man, like when I said it to you today, like when they said Behrooz won or Women's you second or however they called it, I was like, fuck, because I knew everything behind it, man. Like I knew what you wanted to do, but you still got that pro win, obviously, and qualified for 2023. Because I spoke to you before that, and I was like, I was shattered, not for you just not winning and not getting to the Olympia. I was shattered that you didn't get to do that, and I like, you know, when someone that you talk to that obviously you're on the podcast, like I wanted to message you straight away, and like I'm like, but what do you say in that situation? Like, what's the best thing to say to someone who just wants to win a pro show? It's 50-50 or it's close or maybe you should have won. What do you say?
But you asked me, Loss, it wasn't close.
There's nothing anyone can say. There's nothing anyone can say to make you feel better, bro.
Yeah,
it's gonna hurt at the start.
You also got to think that, like you guys said it right. Is like there's a reason behind it. Like, it's hard to say. Like, would I have won Spain if I would have won that first show? I still think probably, but I made sure I won Spain after I lost Ramy. I'm telling you, like I improved within 10 days. We got off that plane right into, from Romania to Spain, went straight, had one of the best leg workouts I had all prep. Next day, it was like everything was on point. I was so, focused, determined to not get second again, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, that just, so it was just so much, that next one was just so much more bittersweet because I was not going to allow it, man, like, everything I had. And so, like, that was the toughest 2 weeks I've ever had on prep. It was just like, Matt was like, we're not going to train. I remember, I met up with Dorian, and I was like, Dorian, let's go. We're doing hamstrings today. I was like, fuck me up, man. He's like, no, mate, you're 10 days out, whatever. He's like, you need to chill. I would stop training hard this far out, and I was like, I don't care, man. I'm gonna go do it then. Like, I don't care. Like, so it's like I had that extra drive to make sure that happened to set up for this year, So, I don't think that drive would have been quite there. Obviously, I would have executed what I needed to with training or whatever, but it was just different with that fire,
Yeah.
Those battles also, I feel like up your stock a little bit.
Absolutely, man.
Because that everyone was glued to that.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, oh, check this out. Even I was looking at it, and there's definitely ups your stock.
100%.
Maybe even argument.
It's a respect thing for bodybuilders, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because it's so much better than if you just won it. If he won it and it was like it's someone else that was there instead of Behrooz, is that how you say his name?
Behrooz.
If it was him and someone else, you just wiped the floor. I feel like you've done better, even though you come second, because it was such a good battle and I was so peeled. Everyone was talking about it.
You know what? That's the first time we had seen a battle like that in so long.
Yeah, but condition, like I hear the stupid comments about, oh, look at the guts and look at the condition, when it was just like everything was tight, waist was tight, glutes were on, condition.
That was one of the best battles, as I
good,
said, I've seen in many years. So that's a
so
credit
looking back, it always ups your stock, I reckon.
And the good thing was like you dudes have pretty aesthetic physiques. You got small waists, like round muscles. Like it was cool to see that sort of throwback with today's modern mass as well. So it was. I absolutely loved the battle and hope we get to see more this year because it's a more condensed season. We spoke about it actually briefly today. There might not be a huge amount of guys at the Olympia compared to past years. It might be 15 compared to 30 last year. There's less shows.
Because it was a crazy amount this year, though.
Yeah, because there was shows.
Too much, I reckon, man.
There was like 2 indie pro. I don't know what show it was. It wasn't indie pro.
Well, it was 14 month. 14 months.
Because they had some shows that qualified. They had a 2020 and a 2021 show, or a 2021 and 2022 show, like the same show. So 2 guys qualified. Yeah, for the same year's Olympia. So obviously more people qualifying. This year's going to be the opposite. We're obviously taking away months because obviously it's normally was in December last year and now it's in the first week of November. So we're getting 7 weeks less or whatever it is. So there's going to be less shows condensed into that period. But I've looked at the schedule and for a period of a year, I think there is shows on every single weekend for 9 weeks in a row. Or 8 weeks in a row or something. It's insane. Yeah. And that's around where the Chicago Pro is and all these ones. Some are overseas.
July, August time.
And are they all in USA?
No, so a couple of are overseas, but it is like every weekend. I think it's like 9 or 10 weeks straight or something. It was crazy. So at the start of the season, it's actually a bit weird because normally we'll have, back in the day we had the Ironman Pro, then the Arnold, then Australia sometimes, or we had San Francisco or one of those ones. It's literally, I think, right now it's like Arnold.
Then there's nothing until you
gap for 6 weeks.
It's usually Indy feels that, which helps.
I think that hurt the Arnold as well because if the guys are wanting to qualify for the Olympia, there might be some guys that want to qualify for the Olympia that goes, I'll try to get an invite to the Arnold and then I'll hit these other 2 shows afterwards. Take away those shows, like Indy,
put
kills
you
the
in
show.
spot.
So you're only going to get the top of the top. But obviously what Arnold did in inviting these people is amazing. And I never got your picks for the 2026 Arnold Classic. And we haven't even discussed
Shaun
everyone
Clarida, I said that.
top 5.
Oh, top 5.
We need more. Brett, do you have top 5? I can bring up the list while we're talking about it.
I mean, if we're just doing top 5, I think I have my top 5 pretty solidified. So I'm gonna go Nick. Like I said, I think it's just gonna be a comparison between him and Shaun, and he's gonna edge it just because of the size factor. It's gonna be close. So I'm gonna go Nick, Shaun. I'm gonna go Samson. I'm gonna go Ramy, and then I'm gonna go Andrew Jack.
Almost exact. Almost like one.
You went Shaun, Nick.
Yeah, and then I had actually Andrew Jack in front of Ramy.
I'll tell you had Shaun Clarida, Nick Walker, Samson Dauda, William Bonac.
Oh yeah.
We didn't discuss William. Oh no, we did a little bit.
Is William doing it?
Yeah, William Bonac's in there. Okay. Yep. It's just, he hasn't been talked about much because he missed it at the Olympia. Yeah, Andrew Jack and then Big Ramy.
Wasn't talked about last year either, and he got second. I thought he won.
Yeah. All right, so.
Well, the best
Daniel, what are your picks?
You got Shaun Clarida at 5th, bro.
I do have Shaun Clarida at 5th. Now, I think I'll be
that's
wrong.
an insane prediction. You should just start again. Let's be honest, bro.
No.
Do you want to bet on this or? Nah.
That's the way to go, though. You either have him in first.
No, he changed it twice
or you
already.
either have him in like.
You already changed it once on the Jose show.
That was while I was on the show, though.
Yeah, you can't keep changing it, bro.
You changed it on the same show.
You're not changing it now either.
No, I'm not changing it now.
Good, stick to it.
So I've got Nick Walker winning, Samson Dauda, Andrew Jack, because I think they compare well. Big Ramy, I think he'd be better. Then Shaun, then William.
I reckon yours is going to be the worst predictions of the whole lot.
I disagree.
I got Shaun.
Okay, let's do it.
How long is it? So it's how many weeks is it? 2 weeks?
No, it's longer than that, isn't
6
it?
weeks.
Shaun, Nick.
6 weeks.
It's not.
I'm thinking of the UFC.
It's like 4 weeks.
Shaun, Nick.
Yeah,
It's 4 now.
Yeah, 4.
Then Samson.
First weekend in March.
Then I got Ramy, Andrew Jack,
I should know. I've been there and watched it.
and then William at 6th.
When I watched it was Dexter.
Now that I know he's in it, I think
Damn, that was a while.
Yeah.
That was 15? Yeah.
All
Yeah, my
right.
dad went.
I feel like we're having multiple conversations on a podcast. It's going to be
Yeah.
super
That's
confusing.
okay.
But
I keep forgetting we're actually on a podcast. Yeah.
yeah, same. It's. I wish we could do this every week, man. I honestly wish we could. But yeah, obviously we've got your guys' picks there. We'll see who's right and who's wrong.
Usually don't have somebody to talk to next to me.
Yeah.
We're sitting in our little rooms and offices. We don't have anybody to talk to.
Yeah, it's weird. And normally, like on a podcast, I'm like just staring at one person, and then I just look down and I'm doing whatever, like putting the video up. And now I'm like, got everyone to look at it. So, but yeah, anyway. So obviously it's going to be a good Arnold Classic. Does anyone think William Bonac can win it?
no.
The best William Bonac, I just said to Brett, the best William Bonac still wins the show, bro. The best ever William Bonac. Do I think he's going to just rip out the best William Bonac ever?
Yeah, the best. The best at William Bonac is better than best ever Shaun.
Yeah, because
Absolutely.
it's freaky his best ever. So I don't think he can ever be fully written off. But like same old thing you said before, bro. Like how much can be changed in the short period of time, you know?
The thing that's coming out now is most people, when they said Shaun Clarida can place, like a lot of people saying, oh, he placed around 10th. He placed around 9th in the Olympia. Well, if you have him placing there, Andrew Jack, not all-time best Andrew Jack beat him, Samson beat him, Big Ramy beat him. All these guys beat him, would have beat him at the Olympia if people, because a lot of people say, oh, where would he place? 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th at the Olympia, in the Open.
Yeah, I think
so
people
do you guys think he would actually be top 6 in the Olympia?
I think those people just underestimate Shaun, bro.
Yeah.
Mate, the thing is you're not
Like
going to
most
know
people.
until he's actually compared
You got to see
against
him in
them.
person, like
Yeah.
we said before.
And I haven't seen him. Like that was one thing I said
That's
about
why our predictions are so different.
William Bonac. He's one of those guys you have to see in person. I agree as well. Like seeing him against Sean Roden when they was in Australia, Australian Pro. You had Neil Hill and you had Chris Zito going mental, and Neil was saying, "You've got it, William. You've got it." And that was his like breakout show. And seeing it in person, I was like, "Is William Bonac winning this?" Because the level of density and hardness is just mind blowing. So
He's like the roundest muscle ever.
yeah,
His
and
arms, they look like, bro, like 26-inch arms or something like that.
bro,
They look like they're massive.
His
in
frame's
person.
not huge, but it's just like
Nah, it's
packed.
212 frame.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
packed.
Yeah.
yeah. So obviously, I cannot wait for this Arnold Classic. Make sure you use desktop 10 and get the pay per view. The link
Did
is
you
in
get a
the description.
kickback for that?
Yes, I get a
I
10%
thought so.
kickback for each.
So
It's
that's why Nick Trudilli and everyone.
$5 each one, I think it is. So
So
yeah,
support our boy.
yeah.
You're gonna watch it anyway.
That's all I get from that, so it's nothing crazy. But
Doesn't
Anyway,
matter.
That adds up.
it's better than nothing. So
You can pay for dinner for us.
yeah, exactly.
Hey,
Shout
actually,
out
there's
to-
one thing I want to talk about. Someone he was telling us tonight at dinner about the pro show he's going to come back and do. Is it going to be exclusive or what?
Did you announce it last episode or no?
Nah.
No.
Oh,
He doesn't even know. He doesn't know if the show qualifies for this year or not.
Yeah, we said just qualify for this year or next.
I don't know. Better check that.
nah. Yeah, well, it's the last few shows. It's Nevada is one. And it's
Dude, we did mention it.
It's in Reno, yeah.
Remo.
Remo.
Nemo. Find Nemo.
Finding
What's
Reno.
that?
What's that one? It's
Legions?
called Legion. It has
Legion,
like action
yeah.
figures
Yeah,
and stuff.
Yeah.
That's a great show ever.
Yeah.
I will say that is a great run show. He copyright struck every YouTube channel just about for their last year's videos, which I didn't love.
Oh, that's not very nice, Chris, if you're watching that.
Yeah, I was a bit upset. But regardless of that, anyway, I've heard he runs a great show.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like, the background looks awesome, but it needs to be a little bit higher where the action figures start because it is I find it very hard to look at. Like, all those different colours in the background and looking at the physiques, you can't see the silhouette.
Did you see that? This is going way out talking. There's a show this year, it's an amateur show, so I don't know if you saw. I just saw it on like NBC Newsline or like
Oh.
but it was like Dragon Ball Z background. Yeah, it was like Goku and Gohan and Dragon Balls and like there's guys up on stage posing. I was
I
laughing.
reckon that'd attract people from other states in America to come do it. People
I
love
don't know
Dragon
where it
Ball.
was at or anything. I just couldn't believe it when I saw it.
Yeah,
A bit
yeah.
everything, you know.
Yeah, it's unusual. Daniel, I think, is just taking a phone call, but I want to discuss a few more things. So, Aaron, I've heard you wanted to cancel for 212.
Apparently Ian Valère does. I just seen that on the podcast today.
Yeah, we haven't obviously watched Fouad's latest episode because I think it only just came out, didn't it? But yeah, obviously there's a bit of discussion about the 212, and I do want to get a podcast with you and Leon as well, because obviously you have completely opposing different views. Lee thinks...
Oh, I agree with some of the shit he says. I just don't believe... I believe that he said, like, one of his points was, like, some of the 212 guys could go be competitive in the open class. Like, I believe that.
Yeah, of
but
course.
like I've said before on the other podcasts, from a business standpoint, that I don't believe they'll get rid of it because of the amount of money they'll lose in regards of actual pros paying for their pro card. Like, the amount of pros that will just probably retire straight away because they don't feel like they'll be competitive. And number two, you're selling the IFBB Pro dream to amateurs, right? Amateur shows fuel a lot of build the ground for the IFBB up, right? And when you're, say, as a promoter and you're going to Australia, all right, but you're selling the IFBB Pro dream, how much of a portion of those guys are not open bodybuilders? A lot, especially in Australia, for example. A lot of guys are turning pro at 180 pounds, 200 pounds. Like, they're not going to be open pros. So if you cut that division completely gone, a lot of amateurs that are working for like middleweight, like 200 pounds, are they really going to strive for a pro card? I don't believe they are. Are they going to invest all their hard-earned money to chase this pro card, and all of a sudden they're going to be 200 pounds standing on in an open stage when they're going to struggle?
Would
You're
Shaun...
going to lose a lot of guys are wanting to. I reckon amateur shows will start watering down a little bit. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Or you can look at they start pushing things to try to get to open.
Yeah, so it
And
could be more health risks.
Yeah, it could more be health risk too.
I haven't even thought of
Yeah,
that.
like think, I have to be 240 instead of being comfortable at 212 and looking good. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why they need
Yeah,
to
and
take
some
revive.
guys. Well, I've had that discussion with a few 212 pros. You don't have to push. You have to push as hard, with like Brett said, when you got a weight cap. You know, because you can only go up to 212 pounds, and some guys are already sitting at 210 without even trying. Like Flex used to kill himself to get on 212. He wouldn't have been pushing his ups real hard because.
He wasn't
Like
at all
he's
off-season.
he's already.
Well, I think that's almost a renowned
Yeah.
thing that he never did,
Nah,
you know?
I
So-
think in fact he actually had to come off and like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you're going to get two scenarios there. So as a business standpoint, I don't think IFBB will want to do it.
But who wouldn't have loved to see Flex in the open as well? From a
Well, he was
fan
going to do it. He just had to pull out because he had gut issues and he's
gut issues and injuries. And
Well, he was having problems growing into the open. Is the truth of the matter? That's what it was. I think
'Cause of eating.
putting on that size.
But he
and
couldn't get the
Yeah, it's
food
true.
because
Couldn't get the food.
I had a similar gut problem that he had, and we were just talking about it a lot. And he could not get his appetite couldn't get the volume of food in.
He was throwing up the food he was eating.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what.
That's
happened.
another talent in itself, man. Like,
It is.
but bodybuilders don't get enough props for that. Like, even Derek putting 20 pounds on in one off season, I'm like, dude, that guy must be able to eat, man.
yeah.
He's an eater though.
Like,
He is an
some
eater.
it's a talent. It's a fucking talent, man.
It is.
'Cause I struggle with food. And
Yeah.
like, just to point out Derek alone, but I thought, dude, 20 pounds in 1 year, like, how did he? That's so much size to put on, man. In one off season to go straight in opens.
I don't think he put on 20 pounds of straight muscle though, because
He
we've
was
seen
always
him.
eating away muscle. muscle.
Yeah, he's always eating away muscle, you know what I mean? But he still has to eat that amount of food to actually put that tissue on his
I
body, back on
understand
his
he
body.
had, but people say he had to kill himself to make the weight. When he competed against me, he was 210, not 212.
Well, he told
206 and stuff because they overdieted him.
Oh, so well under.
Yeah,
well
under.
Because the year I was there, he weighed in with full tracksuit on, and he was a few pounds underweight. And everyone's like, "Oh, he's on the limit." I'm like, "No, he's not."
Remember
What did he place that
2020
year?
when he showed when the year he got fifth in 212 and like he had no legs.
Yeah, fourth, I think it was. Yeah.
It's because he went all the way down to like 203.
Yeah, I was going to say 204, 205.
Yeah, and so but it was one of those things that they just killed him with. I don't know. I mean, that was when he was with his old coach, and they weren't doing the right thing. So
but he was a wild card back then. He was like a bit of a you don't know which friggin'
you don't know what you're gonna see.
That's a respect to Hanny Rambo.
Oh yeah.
Like if Derek's now consistently nails it all the time. Like, it just proves Hanny's the man.
I'll say one thing as well is, like, obviously Hani has the respect, so he's going to get the respect of his athletes, and obviously, you know, Derek being a Evogen athlete, obviously Derek's going to listen to him. He's obviously won so many Olympia titles, and sometimes that's one of the things, when you have a coach that you trust because they're proven with a track record, you're going to follow it 100%, you know what I mean, and then dedicate yourself more to it. Just a small example, like Samson, when he was going to do, because his partner, Malenka, was literally helping him and they were just doing it together themselves. And I said, like, Samson, dude, like, can I just, like, help you somewhat or whatever? Like, I prep people who've won nationals and all that sort of stuff. I'm like, can I just help a little bit? Because I heard of some of the stuff he's doing. I'm like, maybe this could be a little bit better. So he was doing the Arnold Classic Brazil, and it was me and his partner. We just would literally sit down, talk, and then go over it. And I was saying, I'm like, dude, because I wanted to get him, like, inside out. And I said, would you consider just cutting the carbs out of that breakfast and then doing it this way and changing it a little bit? He's like, I can't. He's like, I can't. I'll get too flat. Milos is coaching him, and Milos said, trust me, do this. And he did it, like, and he was eating two or three eggs for breakfast or something. I don't know why that was so low in terms of protein and stuff, but that's what he's doing for breakfast. And he was, like, reluctant to have, like, 50 to 70 grams of fats and a lot of protein when I recommended it, because I was like, dude, like, you need to get hard, like, that's going to be your thing, you know, like, not killing him completely, but yeah, it was one of those things. So when you trust a coach 100% and they have that name and they have that impact on someone, I think that someone's going to be much more likely to follow them. Like Aaron, like, you've worked with obviously like Patrick Tour and a bunch of other people, and when you have that full trust, you go in 100%, you know.
But every coach I've had, I've always just done what the coach has said it anyway, you know, like, that's what I've never ever in my career, maybe I've been lucky to have good coaches, but I've never gone against what the coaches said. I've like, they make the decision, and that I've had an influence. Like I had a little bit of influence on the Indie Pro with Patrick. He wanted to stop carbon up, and I said I was too flat, and I had an influence that time, and then that was the best look I ever had. But usually I just do what they say, you know. Sometimes you're too carb depleted and dead to the world to be making your own decisions at that point anyway. Yeah,
for sure. I think sometimes, like, it takes a special kind of person just to outright coach themselves. Like, we actually spoke a bit about it today. Obviously, Logan Franklin's coaching himself. So what do you guys think about that? Daniel, obviously you're a coach.
Bonac did it, and he looked really good the first time he left Nil Hill.
But Bonac, since he left Nil Hill's record, has not been as consistent.
But I think the very next show he was, from memory, it was good.
No, he came back to the next Olympia and still got top 5.
After that.
Yeah, but Bonac's obviously getting older as well. You know, he's had a few injuries and stuff. But yeah, so he has done pretty damn well coaching himself, obviously.
But I would say 80 to 90% of people that decide to coach themselves is not a good idea, though.
No, I don't think it is, man. I've done it before. You're not the same. You overthink your own shit, I reckon. When you're a coach,
I've always done
that's what you're doing. That's it. There's no emotion, right? When you coach yourself, you'll start to self-doubt and you'll overanalyze it. Because I remember
what it is, it turns into cortisol. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Especially at the end, because the overthinking, the anxiety, whatever, turns into cortisol, which changes your body. And it doesn't matter on the decisions you're making with food or protocol or whatever. It's usually the cortisol that is what affects.
You need to be told, just do the plan, go to sleep, and that's it. Don't think about it. You shouldn't be thinking about it. Actually, the more you think, the worse.
The worse it is.
Yeah.
It's actually funny.
Like you say, if you have a good coach with a good name, you're relaxed. Like if I had Hanny Rambo bro coaching me, whatever he said, even though no one's a god, they still have to figure your body out the first prep or so.
Yeah.
But when you've got someone that's on that level, you'd be sleeping.
Eat horse shit. I'm eating horse
shit. I'll be sleeping pretty comfortable at night. He's going to make the right decision, so you'd be relaxed as hell.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's 100% right. It's actually funny. I've always coached myself, and I feel like I'd find it very hard to have someone coach me now unless it was like a big name, like someone I completely trusted, you know what I mean? Because obviously, you know, like in bodybuilding, you've got everything. It's your health, you know what I mean? So it's like your health is obviously super important.
Xavier, I think it's a different level, bro. Like,
of course,
I coached
yeah.
myself to turn pro, right?
Yeah.
But once I was a pro, it changes.
I'm talking all levels, but it's
It's funny, I coach myself pro card as well.
Yeah.
But then...
Right when I turned pro, I ain't doing this no more.
It was the same thing. I just pulled a rabbit out of a hat, I feel like, and then I was like, same thing, I was like, I'm not doing that again, man. Like,
I feel like your personality type, there's no possible way you can coach yourself.
What's testosterone mean?
I feel like, obviously, you know what I mean? Like, we're good friends, but we're completely different. Like we spoke about it at dinner in certain ways. Like, you know, we're watching a footy game and I'm getting like, ding, 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 ding. It's like...
Me just going off.
Yeah, and I know, like, if I've been out at dinner at times and I haven't actually even been watching the game, I'm like, oh, obviously the other team's got a few goals. You know, like it hasn't gone too well. Because normally the text messages will fly through when things are going bad in that regard. But, like, I'll be the one messaging you. I'm like, nah, we're still on, we're still good and stuff like that. But that's obviously a small example. But obviously when you're prepping and stuff, man, it's almost like you go to another level, not in a bad way. I'm saying in terms of like your energy, but everything's heightened completely. Like everything in terms of your personality is heightened. So you're funnier, but obviously like if someone's going to trigger you, it's going to trigger you more. You know what I mean? But you're still like, obviously you're still yourself. You're still super, nice to me and loyal and all that sort of stuff. So it's cool. But yeah, it's funny how prep affects everyone completely different. Because for me now, if I prep, and obviously it's like Brett, you said, it's a completely different level. But still, most amateurs will be peaking out. I'll prep now, and I'm like days out. And I'm just like, I'm tired, but it's not stressing me really much at all. Like I look at myself and I'm like, okay, this is about where it's at. Get the opinion of someone, cool. You know, and then that's just follow the plan. And I feel more comfortable doing that. And if I had someone else dictating what I did, I would feel like, is this right for me? Because I feel like I know how my body works. Like it.
If you just see one prep through with one coach and they nailed it, then all of a sudden you're relaxed.
You would feel completely different.
Going to the next future preps, like at Bay, like is that how you feel with the same coach all the time? Like
you got to give him at least one chance. You know, me and my first shows with Matt didn't go well. I did 212 and I didn't.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think I got like my first show was Puerto Rico. And I think I got second to last place. I got like 14th place. Yeah, I wanted to quit after, and then I went over to Toronto and got 6th. And then that's when I realized, we talked about it, and he, obviously didn't peak right the first one. Toronto was better. It's because he learned my body, got better, and then we were like, okay, you need to go to the Open because what we saw was when you weigh 225, you look better than when you're 212, right? Yeah. And so, but he learned, that's when we started learning. First time I worked with him wasn't a home run. Everyone's like, I'm not working with Matt Jansen, I'm going to win, first home run. Yeah, well, that's not how I win right now.
That's what I just said. Even the best coaches still have to figure you out.
Yes.
No one is a magician, man.
Yeah.
And
Matt started with Nick, Matt started with Nick when he was an amateur, right? And he did a couple warm-up shows just to qualify for the national shows. Didn't even win USA's his first time. He lost to Zach Merkel.
Yep.
Yeah, people forget that.
Dude, I reported on that show.
Lost that. He lost the super heavies, and then after that, that's when things started rolling. He was a different beast.
Yeah, man. I actually found I can't remember when it was a few weeks ago. I actually interviewed Nick before he turned pro, which is really cool. I don't know if it's his first interview, first sort of video interview or whatever. But I look back on it. It's cool to see his mindset then, his mindset now, and comparing it, and just how far he's come since that period, which isn't that long ago. From when he was an amateur to placing third in the Olympia, it's not a big period of time. And obviously these two guys, Daniel, Aaron, when he came up, I was, back, I was like, Aaron probably won't be a top pro one day, probably not. And then you kept proving to me and now I'm like, Aaron could win the 212 Olympia at some point. That's just the belief. Same thing with coaches. Once someone proves it over and over again, you become a believer. Same thing as Nick Walker. I never thought Nick Walker, I thought he'd be a pro and he would place 4th and 5th in pro shows, 3rd, maybe get to the Olympia and win a pro show. That would be it. I just didn't think that he would be able to put it together in that way. I thought he was going to be a mass monster.
What about Shaun Clarida? He's going to be the biggest shot of all. What about the photo of his when he first turned pro?
New York Pro, when he's doing New York Pros finishing outside the top 5.
No one had him. He was the biggest underdog story ever, I reckon.
Yeah, he's the biggest one. Obviously, but I'm just saying, for example,
But
like
pretty sure 10 years as a pro, isn't it? He's been like...
I have no idea.
He
But-
put up some photos like when he first turned pro. Have you seen that? When he first turned pro till now, bro, it's the most crazy transformation. I swear Matt Jansen did that.
I think I was talking about this
Shaun
recently.
Clarida.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was talking about
Who we talking
pros
about?
that people thought they weren't going to do anything.
Right,
Sean
right.
had all the negative hate, man.
Yeah.
Everyone said he was too small, too little, too this, too that. He's got a pretty crazy underdog story, Sean.
Yeah.
Oh, for
It's
sure.
actually a really
Well,
good
It's
story.
unbelievable.
Resilience.
It's
in
an
general, right?
unbelievable story.
He's been doing this for 20 years.
Everyone
He
would have said
never
you're
quit.
forgetting, you're wasting time, and he would have thought, fuck, you know what?
We've got to give
Fuck
Sean.
you, I'm sticking to it, you know?
We've got to give him so much credit, man, because he's the only 212 to I believe.
Imagine he
to
wins
lose-
Arnold, bro.
Yeah, lose his title, win his 212 title back. He's won the Legion, winning an open show. People were you got to remember, people were mind blown at the time that he beat Regan and Sergio.
Yeah.
Obviously, they weren't at their very best. There's still like Tony Burton in there and other guys as well. So he beat some quality guys. Martin, yeah, of course, yeah. And then he now is one of the favourites for the Arnold Classic, which is the second biggest show in the world. It's like
So from a story perspective, if he wins, that'd be a really cool bodybuilding story.
Yeah, it would be.
now Nick is
Like
third
from
in the
start to
world.
finish, you know?
Nick is third in the world, right? People here are predicting Shaun to win this show. So if Shaun wins this show, should Shaun do the Open?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
good argument.
Yeah. Because if he can beat Nick Walker and place
If he
third
wins
in
the
the world,
Arnold, he is there's no.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys are questioning.
Yeah, 100%.
He wins Arnold, and he beats Nick, and he beats Big Ramy.
Should do
he beats
that.
Samson.
Yeah, that's-
He's doing the
Open.
open this fall. I
He's
guarantee it.
immediately-
There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Immediately retire from
Because
the
you are
top.
now
Yeah.
you are now on paper, you are now the third best bodybuilder in the world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're behind Derek and Hottie. Just
Man, how funny would that be all of a sudden watching Derek and Sean go at it, but in the upper class?
Yeah.
And Hardy, they're all 212,
212s,
bro.
yeah.
Imagine all of a sudden, like I'm jumping ahead of myself here, but like it's a possibility that them three are battling, and then they're just all jumped upper class. It'd be so much cooler to have Flex in there as well. I just wish that put that.
Oh, I
Okay,
know.
so that
Can you
goes
imagine how
back
cool that would
to.
be
Yeah.
to watch?
I know.
You
I
know,
know.
but when
So that goes back to why would you want to get rid of the 212s when it's breeding such good bodybuilders? coming
yeah, it's a
through?
good middle ground, good like
Yeah.
little stepping stone. Another point someone else made the other day, I think, was it Jose? I can't remember. That it's a good little bridge between Classic and Open too. Like you got Breon and Keown come up from Classic.
Bro,
Brown would be
I went
retiring.
pro classic. I did
Yeah, you
212,
did, yeah.
and then I went open.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was the
yeah,
bridging stuff.
there you go. So it's a good little stepping
I
stone.
wasn't ready to
You're at
go
212 for 2 seconds though.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. I couldn't have gone straight to open.
Yeah,
You know
no,
what
you
I mean?
couldn't.
Like I
No,
needed,
it's a
I
perfect.
needed that.
It's a
212.
perfect stepping stone.
Yeah.
And now Breon's coming in, man. Yeah, Keown's coming. Like Keown's probably good enough genetics to go back in the Open, but like I said, it's a perfect stepping stone for anybody.
So
Yeah.
why would you want to get rid of it?
Yeah, yeah.
And the thing is,
Bro, whoever started the argument, they can run with it, but it's not. I don't think it's going to happen, man. Like,
it comes in waves too, because you obviously had like an exodus of great competitors leaving the 212. You had Jose, you had Flex, you had Derek Lunsford, you had a whole bunch of names. Eduardo Correa, he's still in it, but obviously his physique has dropped off a bit now of his injuries, and so you had these like superstars at the top of the 212, and then it seems like within a few years they're just sort of gone out of that top five. So obviously Kamal now has retired from the 212 as well, and that's
did he announce that?
yeah, he's not doing the 212 ever again, he said. So he's open.
So is he doing? Oh, okay.
Because he thinks he looks a lot better heavier. So if you can say
I didn't
heavier,
realize he was on the full
more.
weight limit either.
I'm just
Well-
surprised. I never heard that. I'd be surprised. Okay, so
That's
say,
what he said.
say Shaun wins the Arnold and goes to the Open. Why would Kamal go to the Open to Olympia?
That makes
Right.
12 interesting next year. Then does that mean
Yeah.
Angel wins?
First off, he
Yeah.
still
does that
wouldn't
mean you win the
qualify.
Olympic?
You know what goes through mine?
It's an open title, bro. I know,
Oh,
obviously,
bro.
you've beaten Angel. Angel's second in the world. I know, obviously, people have said to me since then, oh, but Angel's kept competing, all that sort of stuff. You put up a comparison the other day. I'm going to put it up on the thing when I edit it in. Your back looks dramatically bigger from the same period out in a contest. So I feel like you're going to be improved, and people will be like, he hasn't been on stage, he's not going to be improved.
Yeah.
So if you were ninth in the Olympia then, and I'm going to venture to guess that that was a tougher lineup as well. Because you had Hidetani Yamagishi, Eduardo Correa, who I thought you could have beaten both of those guys in that Olympia, to be honest, you and Angel. So that, you know, had you beaten them, that pushes you up to what, 7th or something like that? And then you've got
John Hill was in there.
John Jewett, yeah.
Yeah.
But he dropped down the next year down to equal last, I think it was.
Was he?
Yeah, he came
Yeah, he
in
was
way
off.
off.
Yeah,
way
I
off.
noticed that. Yeah.
So a lot of those guys who are ahead of you are gone. Like,
Yeah, I know. That's why I said it makes 212 Olympia interesting.
so we might have Clarida out of there and Kamal. That's another two guys. So that's why I really want you to get to a 212 Olympia this year or next, because I think it could be a completely open title waiting for someone to come and win it.
Yeah, it does make it really open, that division, 100%, yeah.
So you better fix that wrist and start training again, man, because obviously it's going to be the first weekend of November in January now? No, February.
Yeah.
February now. So it's coming around, man, and it's going to be very, very exciting. And obviously, Brett, you're doing the Olympia. Hopefully, you're doing the Olympia, Aaron, and we're going to have two guys right there in the top 5. You're doing multiple shows, hopefully. So
I only said multiple shows because if I'm on, I'm just going to keep competing until
if you're on, you said you were doing it no matter what last time.
Nah, but if I'm on, like if I'm looking my best, I'm just going to keep competing until I win.
Yeah. Well, I don't think.
Like I'll just do back to back. I don't care if I have to fly to the North Pole to compete. Like everyone goes, what show? I'm like, I don't care where the show is.
There used to be a show in Alaska.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it was. And an Aussie competed in that show. That little Asian Classic dude did the Alaska one, I think.
Little Asian Classic dude.
Yeah, the one from
Raz. Yeah, from WA. Yeah, I know him. Yeah, of course.
Completely lost what I was going to say. I was going to say I'll compete anywhere. I don't care where the show is, bro. Like, I prefer America because I feel like USA puts you on the map a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like they're the shows everyone's glued to, so I would be favour of that. But I don't care where the show is, like in the world. You know, I'm not trying to pick an easy one.
I don't think you need to at this point. Like as long as you're.
If I'm trying to do that, then I'm not even going to better my last placing anyway if I'm trying to pick an easy way in, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully you just go in there and just win it straight up convincingly, and then you can just go to Olympia. That'd be the goal, obviously. So anyway, guys, do you want to just keep going, or do you want to wrap it up?
I'm going to probably wrap up.
Yeah, that's what I think as well, because
it's been a long day for us.
Exactly, but it was cool to be able to do this in person.
Yeah.
Shout out to, obviously, Aaron for coming over, you driving up here to do this, and Daniel, obviously, for setting this all up with Brett. Without you, none of it would have been possible.
We're going to do it again.
We're going to do it again, yeah. Sure, hopefully next time I'm able to come for a little bit more of it. We get a ton of video stuff, get some cool training sessions in and all that, and hopefully set things up with some other people to get sessions in and videoed along the way, and it'll be really cool.
It's actually been cool hanging with you, Xavier, to be honest.
Yeah, it's been awesome, man. Like, it's been cool to reconnect with you, and then obviously meeting Brett, and then seeing Aaron, who I haven't met. I don't even know, when was the last time we saw each other in person?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's because I talk to you all the time. It's,
it feels normal, like I've just seen you, but
I don't know, I can't remember.
Yes, and obviously
this is the first time I've actually met Aaron like properly, and he's pretty funny dude.
Yeah, he's alright.
I don't find myself that funny, but the amount of people lately have said to me, "Oh, you're really funny." I'm like, dude, am I? Like,
it's the way you say stuff, man. Like it was. Do you remember being? Yeah. Dude, I remember that time when I rocked up to the hotel where we were staying. It was before one of the Arnolds when you was doing the amateur. Yeah. And I rocked up and I was like, "Fuck, gotta be quiet," because I was staying in the same room as you. And I was like, snuck in, and you're like, "Hey, bro." I just hear that. I don't know why. We chatted till like 3 in the morning or something. Like,
and I was competing.
Yeah, it was like 2-3 days out. I'm like, "Bro, you better get some sleep." You're like, "Yeah." I swear again. I'll beat that out. Yeah. But
this is RX Muscle days when you're working with
RX Muscle days. Yeah. And then Platinum Labs days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just because they obviously paid for it all. And then I remember the 2 days later when we was doing, I told this to Brett and Daniel before, and I tell the story, but it's not funny when I tell it. But you say, Jade says on the phone to you, "Yeah, I'll be over soon." You're like, "When soon? Tell me when soon is." And then she's like, 2 hours. And you're like, "I've got prejudging at 10 or 10:30. I've got to be there at like 9:30. You're like, "Well, I guess you're making what do you got to do? Blow dry your hair? You're making the blow dryer from scratch, I guess. So you got to buy cables, you got to wire it. I suppose that would take about 2 hours. Yeah, no. So you're making it from scratch." And I was pissing myself laughing. And you didn't think it was funny. You just looked at me, and then you just gave this little smile like a little kid, like, like you just knew. But I think you just played it up a little bit more. But it was funny as, man, like just little things like that. It's like you don't know you're being funny, but I think that's what makes it funny. It's just like you're sort of like Aussie sort of piss taking.
So moral of the story is you guys just need an American to bring all the Australian guys together.
Exactly. Yeah. So hopefully we make this more regular, man. I want to get up here and do this sort of stuff. But anyway, thank you guys so much for doing this. Daniel, give a shout out to your gym and
5-star Physique at Brookvale. It's the place to be, mate.
Awesome. Simple. It's a place to be. Yep. As sponsors, anything like that you want to shout out?
Shout out to Food Fitness for feeding me, and Massive Joe's for my apparel and all my supplement needs.
Awesome.
Actually, I do want to shout out to Carlo as well for taking care of Brett with all his food on this whole tour.
Shout out to Carlo.
So, yeah.
What's his company?
Food for Fitness.
Food Fitness, yeah. Carlos.
Yeah, Carlo's done well. He's a good man.
Awesome. Yeah, the meals look good. Like I've seen them.
Yeah.
Like,
We post Australia.
You'll probably eat
They
one
post
tomorrow.
Australia wide, but doesn't post. Sorry, bro, doesn't post the Perth. But
I'm not in Perth, bro.
Tassie.
does he?
He lives in
Oh, he lives in
Tassie.
Tassie. Oh, yeah.
You know that, bro.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah. I always think you live in Perth all the time.
No, I don't honestly talk about it much. So it's,
Yeah.
I drove over. It was a nightmare. But anyway, Brett, give a shout out to your sponsors.
Yeah, shout out to Gas and Better Wise. They're a big part of our trip as well with this. Like,
Very big part.
every seminar we've done, we've given out like $200-$350 gift cards.
Dude, yeah, I saw it
We've given
today.
gift bags to everybody, so they've kind of fueled this trip, and they wanted to get a presence in Australia, so I think we've helped that a little bit. So shout out to them, and of course Raw and Revive and Desktop Bodybuilding.
Yeah, I like it. Shout out to me. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for doing that. Make sure you enter Desktop 10. You'll save yourself 10% off the pay-per-view for the 2023 Arnold Classic coming up. And that's about it for this one. So for myself, Xavier Wills, Daniel Fletcher, Aaron Polides, and Brett the Butcher Wilkin live, we are out.